You're listening to In-Depth SEO. In-depth conversations on how search, content, and AI really work.
I'm Marcus.
And I'm Sarah.
Okay, so let's just dive right in today. I want to start with a number that, frankly, when I first saw it in the research stack, I had to stop. I literally took off my glasses, cleaned them, and looked again.
I know the one you're talking about.
I checked the data in the report just to make sure I wasn't, looking at some projection for 2035. But no, it's right here, 58.5%.
It's a huge number.
It's massive. Over half, 58.5% of Google searches in the U.S. now end.
Right.
Without a click.
Right.
Nothing. No visit to a website, no browsing an online store, no reading a blog post, just query, answer, and done.
And the user is completely satisfied. They got what they needed. Meanwhile, the website owner, the content creator, they get absolutely nothing.
And that really sets the stage perfectly for this entire conversation, because we're sitting here in early 2026 and the ground has just completely shifted under our feet. This isn't a small change.
No, it's a fundamental rewiring. The whole model of searching for links, which is what we've been doing for 20 years, is being replaced by finding answers, that 58.5% statistic. Mm-hmm. It isn't just a metric, it's a behavioral shift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the part that honestly is a little terrifying. We used to obsess over ranking, fighting for that #1 spot, the top of the blue links. Mm-hmm. We'd celebrate if we got there. But if almost 60% of people aren't clicking anything, well, ranking #1 doesn't feel like the win it used to be.
Yeah.
It's like winning a race where nobody crosses the finish line.
Right. You're winning a game that people aren't really playing in the same way anymore.
Yeah. And there was a term in the sources for this new problem that really hit me. Algorithmic invisibility.
That's it. It's the perfect term for this era, algorithmic invisibility. Because here's the cold, hard reality of it. If you aren't the answer the AI chooses to recite or summarize, you don't just rank lower. You effectively don't exist. You're invisible in that customer's discovery journey. You're not just auditioning for a spot on a list anymore. You're auditioning to be cited by a machine.
Auditioning to be cited by a machine. That sounds so dystopian. But it's just the mechanic of how it works now. So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out how to pass that audition.
How do we get the part?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all the sources we've pulled for today, and we have a huge stack, they're all pointing to one very specific, very critical acronym. It's not new, but it seems to be the only safety net we have left. EEAT.
Right. EET, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And you're right, it's not in our concept. I mean, Google introduced the original EAT back in 2014.
Right, in the Quality Rater Guidelines.
Exactly, but the context is completely different now. Back then, it was a guide for human raters to, help train the algorithm. Today, in the age of AI search, whether it's Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, you name it, EET is no longer just a target. It's the primary filter. It's the gatekeeper.
So to be crystal clear for everyone listening, this isn't about, hacking the algorithm anymore. We're not trying to trick the robot.
Oh, not at all. Those days are so far gone. This is about proving to a non-human entity that you are a human, that you're an expert, and that you are a trusted source worth quoting.
And the sources we're pulling from today, we've got white papers from Saltot Agency, really deep analysis from Bombay Works, insights from SEO vets like Dwayne Forrester, and they all circle back to this one point.
They do. If you can't demonstrate EEAT, the AI will ignore you. And not because it's malicious, it's out of self-preservation.
Self-preservation. I want to dig into that because the idea of an AI being afraid is weird. But let's start with the mechanism itself. I think a lot of us still think of search engines like a library card catalog.
Right. Find the card, find the book.
Yeah. But that's not what's happening, is it?
No, that ecology is dead, buried. We have to stop thinking search engines and start thinking answer engines. The industry is even shifting the terms to AEO, answer engine optimization, or GEO, generative engine optimization.
AEO and GEO. Great, more acronyms. Just when I finally got my parents to understand SEO.
I know. But the distinction is so important. A traditional search engine retrieves. It finds a document that matches your words and shows you the link. It's passive.
Here's the book.
Exactly. But an AI model, an LLM, it doesn't just retrieve. It crawls, it parses, it understands the content, and then it synthesizes an answer. It generates something new.
That word synthesize is everything. It's writing its own book report instead of just handing you the book.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's reading the entire library on a topic and then explaining it to you in its own words. And this is where that trust filter becomes absolutely critical, because we all know LLMs have a huge weakness.
Hallucinations.
Hallucinations. They make stuff up.
Oh yeah, we've all seen the screenshots. AI saying to put glue on pizza to keep the cheese on, or citing legal cases that just don't exist.
Right. And that's funny on social media, but for a multi-trillion-dollar search company, it's a liability nightmare. So because of that risk, the models are programmed to be incredibly risk-averse. They're gatekeepers.
So they're looking for citation worthiness.
That's the whole game. It's no longer about who has the most keywords. It's about who the AI trusts enough to reference without looking foolish or getting sued. If it quotes you and you're wrong, the AI looks bad. So it's safer to just not quote you at all.
Which makes total sense from a risk management perspective. Quote the Mayo Clinic, you're safe. Quote some random blog, you're taking a risk.
Precisely.
But the Bombay Works report pointed out this really interesting user behavior dynamic.
Right.
It's not just the machine checking for trust. The user is checking the machine. They called it the trust verification loop.
Yes. This is the silver lining in all of this for quality content creators, the trust verification loop. So users get the AI summary, but they don't just blindly accept it. They're skeptical.
You've been burned enough times to know better.
Exactly. So they double check. And here's a stat from the research that really stood out to me. Users trust an AI answer 2.7 times more when the AI cites verifiable, consistent digital sources.
Wow, 2.7 times. That's a massive confidence boost. So if the AI says, according to your brand, people actually believe it.
Correct. So the new goal isn't just to be in the AI summary. It's to be the brand that shows up when the user does that secondary verification search. If you're in the summary and you're the top result for the verification search, trust is cemented, you win.
But there's a dark side to this, isn't there? The sources talked about reputation bleed.
That's the nightmare scenario.
Explain that.
Okay, so imagine there's old bad information about you out there. A bad review from 2019, an old price on a reseller site, whatever. The AI doesn't know it's old. It just scrapes it.
Oh, no.
And it presents that as fact in its summary. Marcus's Coffee is known for slow service, it says, because it found one Yelp review from 5 years ago. And because it's a zero-click search, you might never even know it's happening. Your reputation is just bleeding out in these AI summaries.
That's chilling. It really drives home why EET isn't just an offensive strategy, it's defense. You have to inoculate the internet against bad info about you.
You absolutely do.
Okay, so let's break down the acronym. Let's get into the pillars. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. I want to start with that first E for experience, because that's the newest one.
It is. Google added it officially in December 2022. And looking back now from 2026, it was such a prophetic move. They saw the tsunami of AI content coming.
So why is experience the specific antidote to what everyone is calling AI slop?
Well, think about what an AI is. It's a prediction machine. It's just predicting the next most likely word in a sentence based on a mountain of text it's read. But an AI has no life.
Right.
It has never actually used a product. It's never visited a place. It's never felt frustrated by a bad user interface. Experience is the proof of humanity. It's the one thing the model cannot fabricate on its own.
It's the difference between reading the car manual and actually driving the car.
That is the perfect analogy. And let's separate the two E's because people often mix them up. The second E, expertise, is the theoretical knowledge. It's knowing how the car engine works.
The physics of combustion, the gear ratios.
And AI can do that perfectly. It can explain an internal combustion engine better than most humans because it's read every engineering textbook ever published.
Right.
But experience is knowing what it sounds like when that specific engine makes a weird knocking sound on a cold morning. It's knowing the cup holder is poorly designed because your coffee spills on right turns. That's the stuff an AI can't know unless a human tells it.
The sources kept bringing up Wirecutter as the gold standard for this.
They are a fantastic example of operationalizing experience. You read a Wirecutter review, they don't just list the specs. Anyone can list specs.
That's a commodity.
It is. Instead, they tell you, we dropped this phone 10 times. We washed this towel 50 times to see if it fell apart. We assembled this desk and timed how long it took and how many curse words were involved. They show their work. That is demonstrable input.
And that's what the AI is looking for. Proof that a human actually touched the thing.
Exactly, because it needs that original sensory real-world data to validate its own conclusions. It craves that human input. It can't convincingly hallucinate a photo of a scratched phone screen, at least not yet.
Okay, so experience is, I did this. Let's move to the second E, expertise. This is the theoretical side. Does this just mean I need a PhD?
Credentials obviously help. I mean, if you're writing about brain surgery, you better have an MD. But for most of us in this context, expertise is more about depth and creating a content moat.
Content moating. I like that. It sounds defensive.
It is. It means you can't be a generalist anymore. The AI is the ultimate generalist. It knows a little about everything. So if you write a blog post called "What is Marketing?", you're just wasting your time.
The AI can answer that in half a second.
Perfectly. You cannot compete there. You have to go deeper. You have to prove you own a topic cluster. You build a moat of information so deep and specific that the AI has no choice but to see you as the authority on that niche. This gets into the garbage in, garbage out rule.
Right. What's that in this context?
An AI model is only as good as the data it's trained on, so it's constantly hunting for subject matter experts, or SMEs. If you're publishing generic, surface-level stuff, you're just noise. But if you have deep, structured expertise on a niche topic, the AI tags you as a high-quality data source.
So if I'm a plumber, I don't just write how to unclog a drain.
No.
I write how to unclog a 1950s cast iron grain system in a house with clay soil without damaging the pipes.
Exactly. That is expertise. The AI knows about drains in general, but does it know about the specific chemical reaction between a modern cleaner and 1950s iron? Probably not, unless an expert like you wrote about it. You become the source.
Okay, so experience is I did this. Expertise is I know this deeply. Got it. Let's talk authoritativeness. This used to be just backlinks, right?
Yeah.
A popularity contest.
Historically, yes, a link was a vote. Simple as that. But in 2026, the definition of a link is much blurrier. It's shifting towards entity recognition and implied links.
Implied links. That sounds a little ghosty, like someone mentions you but doesn't tag you.
But that's actually a pretty good way to think about it, but in a good way. Tim Solo from Ahrefs, called Brand, mentions the new backlinks for the AI search era.
Okay.
An implied link is just when a trusted source mentions your brand or one of your experts without actually hyperlinking. So if the Wall Street Journal writes, according to Sarah, an expert at company X, even with no blue link, the AI sees that.
It connects the dots on its own.
Instantly. It performs what's called named entity recognition. It sees Sarah as a person entity, Company X as an organization entity, and the Wall Street Journal as a trusted source. It connects them in its internal knowledge graph.
So it's about co-occurrence.
Exactly, that's the term. If the word Nike appears near running shoes enough times on trusted sites, the AI learns the association. The goal is to create that co-occurrence for your brand and your area of expertise.
Which means digital PR just became way more important than just getting a link.
It's vital. You are literally training the machine who the authorities are in your space.
Which leads us to the foundation of the whole thing. T for trustworthiness.
Trust is the keystone. The other three, experience, expertise, authority, they all feed into trust. If you have those, you are probably trustworthy. But trust also has its own specific, often technical component.
Like having a secure site, HTTPS and all that.
Yes, that's table stakes now. If your site isn't secure, it's an immediate red flag. But it's also about transparency. Who runs this site? Is there a contact page, a physical address? What's your privacy policy? Are you clear about affiliate links?
And the source is really hammered on the YMYL factor here. Your money or your life.
This is where the bar gets incredibly high. YMYL topics are finance, health, legal advice, basically anything that can seriously impact someone's life or wallet.
Because the liability for the AI is off the charts.
It's massive. Imagine the headline. Google AI gives bad medical advice based on some random wellness blog. It's a disaster. So in these YMYL spaces, the AI is programmed to be hyper-conservative. If your EEAT signals aren't absolutely flawless, it will ignore you and default to the CDC, the government, the Mayo Clinic.
So if you're a small player in a YMYL space, you have to be even better than the big guys on this stuff.
Yep, be squeaky clean, no room for error.
Okay, so we have the framework, EEAT. But let's get tactical. How do we actually build this? The outline calls this next part the experience moat and battling the generic plague.
The generic plague is very real. The internet is just flooded with AI slop content written by AI for AI with no human insight. It's perfectly average.
It's like beige wallpaper. It fills the space, but nobody ever notices it.
That's it. And what's worse is that models are starting to train on their own AI-generated slop, which leads to something called model collapse. The AI literally gets dumber because it's eating its own tail.
So to stand out, you have to prove there was a human in the loop.
Yes. And this isn't about not using AI. The sources are clear on this. The smart play is a human-AI symbiosis. Use AI for the grunt work drafting, research structure. But a human must provide the story, the strategy, the emotion, the experience.
Okay, so I'm a listener. I'm sitting at my desk right now looking at my website. What do I actually do? How do I show experience on a web page? Give me the checklist.
Okay, first thing, and this is easy, visual proof, stop using stock photos.
But they're so clean.
And easy. They're clean, easy, and they are a massive trust killer. An AI knows what a stock photo is. It recognizes that picture of the diverse team in a boardroom is on 10,000 other websites. It carries zero unique information.
So what's the alternative?
If you're reviewing a product, take a photo of it in your own messy office with your own hand in the shot. The imperfection is the proof. AI generates perfection. Humans create messy reality.
The messiness is the authenticity. I like that. What's next?
Narrative. Use the first person. Use I and we. Instead of saying the product is efficient, say, when we tested this, I was amazed by how fast it was. Claim ownership of the experience. AI tends to write in a passive third-person voice.
Right. And what about talking about failure? That seems so counterintuitive for marketing. We're supposed to be perfect.
This is one of the highest leverage trust signals you can send. Discuss what went wrong. AI is a people pleaser. It's designed to give the best answer. It rarely discusses failure.
But a human expert knows things go wrong all the time.
Right. So when you say, we tried this strategy and it was a total disaster and here's what we learned from it, you sound incredibly credible. It shows honesty and it proves you actually did the work. Robots aren't vulnerable. Humans are.
Vulnerability is the tell. Okay, and the last one.
Case studies. Real ones. Detailed, data-backed stories. Not just, we help clients succeed. No. We helped client X in the manufacturing sector increase leads by 23% in Q4 by implementing this specific tactic. Specificity creates trust.
Specificity creates trust. I'm writing that down. It sounds like our websites need to become evidence lockers.
That's a great way to put it. You are presenting the evidence of your expertise.
Okay, let's zoom out from the page level to the brand level.
Yeah.
The sources brought up a framework from a salty agency called ACE.
Yeah, the ACE framework. It's a great practical tool. It stands for accessibility, consensus, and entity.
Let's walk through it. A for accessibility. Is this just about, like, web accessibility for users?
That's part of it, but in this context, it's primarily about machine accessibility. Can the AI crawler actually read and understand your site?
So, technical SEO stuff.
Exactly. Site structure, schema markup, load speed. If the AI hits a wall of confusing code or a 10-second load time, it's gone. It has billions of other pages to look at. It can't cite what it can't read.
Okay. C for consensus. This one feels tricky.
It is. Consensus is huge. The AI models are trained on the average of the internet. They look for what is generally accepted as true. If your content wildly contradicts the consensus, say you claim a new diet that goes against everything the Mayo Clinic says, the AI will flag you as a potential hallucination risk.
So we can't be contrarian anymore. That feels like it would stifle innovation.
You can be, but you need extraordinary proof. You can't just state a contrarian opinion. You have to back it up with original research, primary data, heavy-duty citations. You have to prove it so overwhelmingly that the AI is forced to consider it. Otherwise, its safety protocols will just filter you out as misinformation.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Carl Sagan, the original SEO.
Pretty much. And that brings us to E for entity.
This is the part that sounds like sci-fi to me. Unpack entity.
It's actually how these systems think. To Google, you're not just a website. You are an entity, a distinct thing, a person, a company, a brand that has attributes.
Like character sheet in a video game.
That's a perfect analogy. You have a name, a founder, an industry, a location. The goal is to make sure the AI has a rich, accurate credibility profile on your entity.
And how do we build that profile? How do we fill out our character sheet?
You start by claiming your knowledge panel, that box that shows up on the right in Google search. You make sure your About Us page isn't fluff. It's a data source with your history, your team, your awards. You get listed in trusted directories like Crunchbase or industry-specific ones. It's all about feeding the machine structured data about who you are.
Which, again, circles back to digital PR. Getting mentioned in the right places teaches the AI who you are.
It's all connected. The mention builds your entity profile, which proves your authority, which feeds your trustworthiness.
Okay, let's get into the technical checklist. I want to know what to tell my developer to actually do.
First thing, non-negotiable, authorship.
So can we still post blog articles by admin or by staff? I see that everywhere.
Hard no. That is a trust killer in 2026. Admin is not an expert. It's a default setting. Every single piece of content needs a real human byline.
And that byline has to link to a bio.
Yes, a detailed bio that lists credentials, job history, areas of expertise. It connects the content to a real human entity with a real track record.
What about if we use AI to help write the content? Do we hide that?
No, you lean into transparency. The best practice is to add a vetting signal. A little disclaimer that says something like, this article was drafted with AI assistance and was reviewed and fact-checked by our human expert's name.
So you turn it into a positive. You're showing you have a process for accuracy.
Exactly. You're signaling accountability. A human is responsible for this text. That's a trust signal, not a weakness.
Okay, now talk to me about schema markup. You called it speaking machine language. I know people's eyes glaze over when they hear structured data.
I know, but it's so important. Think of it as spoon-feeding the robot. Without schema, the AI has to guess what things are on your page. With schema, you explicitly tell it.
Give me a concrete example for EET.
Okay, there's person schema. You wrap the author's name in this code, and you can add fields for their job title, the university they went to, links to their LinkedIn profile. You're telling the AI, this isn't just a string of text, this is a person, and here are their credentials.
It just connects all the dots to the machine instantly.
Instantly. There's organization schema to connect your site to your business, reviewed by schema to prove a human expert reviewed the content, citation schema to mark up your sources. If you aren't using schema in 2026, you're making the AI work too hard, and it will just move on to your competitor who makes it easy.
Spoon feed the robot. Got it. Okay, so we've done all this. We've built our EET, we've implemented schema, we're getting PR mentions. But we go back to that scary number from the start, 58.5% zero-click. How do we measure if any of this is working?
This is the measurement crisis, and it is a real crisis for marketing departments that live and die by their Google Analytics traffic charts.
Right, because my traffic might be flat or even down, but my brand could be getting mentioned by the AI constantly.
Exactly. The old metrics don't work. We need new ones. We need to be looking at things like share of model or AI visibility.
And how do you even track that?
There are new tools emerging. The sources mentioned a few, like Radix. SEMrush has an AI visibility toolkit, Profound. These tools essentially query the AI models thousands of times with industry-relevant questions and track how often your brand is cited in the answers.
So it's like a rank checker, but for chatbot responses.
That's a great way to think about it. You're measuring your share of voice inside the machine's brain.
Are there any proxy metrics? Things we can see in our existing tools?
Yes. The big one is branded search volume.
Okay, explain that, Luke.
Think about the user's journey. They ask the AI a question. The AI mentions your brand as a solution. The user then closes the chat, goes to Google, and types in your company name directly. That branded search is a direct result of the AI's recommendation.
So if our non-branded organic traffic is flat, but our branded traffic is going up, that's a huge win.
That's a massive win. It means the AI is doing the top-of-funnel work for you. And the other piece is brand sentiment. The tools can track how the AI is talking about you. Is it positive? Does it use words like reliable, expert, best?
Because if it's citing you but saying customers complain about their shipping, that's a different problem to solve.
Right. Then you have a shipping problem, not an SEO problem.
We're nearing the end of our deep dive. I want to look ahead. We're in early 2026. Where's this going in, say, late 2026, 2027?
The sources are pointing towards the rise of what they're calling universal verifiers.
What on earth is a universal verifier?
As the web gets even more flooded with AI content and deepfakes, there's a growing need for systems that can validate content before it even gets indexed. Think of it like a passport control for information.
So it verifies if the source is legitimate.
And if it's human. There's a lot of talk about Web3 and blockchain tech maybe finding a real use case here with cryptographic proof of authorship. A digital signature that proves you, Marcus, wrote this piece of content and it hasn't been altered.
So a verified human check mark that actually has technical teeth.
It seems inevitable. The value of verified human provenance is about to skyrocket. Being provably real will be a premium asset.
So to bring it all home, our mission today was mastering EEAT. What's the final takeaway?
I think the biggest thing is that EEAT isn't a checklist. You can't just do it and be done. It's a reputation score. It's a fundamental change in how you operate your brand online.
I think you said perfectly in your notes.
Yeah.
In a world where answers write themselves, Your reputation is your ranking signal.
That's what it boils down to.
And the goal is to shift from just being searchable
to being referable.
Being referable, I love that. Being the one the AI refers people to.
That's the name of the game.
Okay, before we sign off, I've got a final provocative thought for everyone listening to mull over. We talked about consensus and how the AI defaults to what's generally accepted as true to stay safe.
Right.
So if AI becomes the main way we access knowledge and it only trusts the consensus, are we accidentally building an internet where new, challenging, innovative ideas become invisible simply because they don't have established authority yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the potential danger. If the machine's primary directive is to be safe, it could create a feedback loop that just reinforces the status quo. Innovation could get filtered out as a hallucination risk.
Something to think about as you're optimizing your next piece of content. Are you just feeding the consensus, or are you brave enough to challenge it?
And if you do, you better bring the receipts. That's the EEAT way.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Now go prove you're human.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening to In-Depth SEO. If this episode added a new perspective, visit indepthseo.com for more thoughtful conversations on how search really works.